now then. If your test was not done, you can still check what is done, but I would ask that you actually try to like take your own time to try to work on the problems again. Obviously, it's going to be recorded. We're going to check it all together. But guys, the answer key that is in Schoology is not completely right. I should probably just take it down. To give you guys a little insight, and I'm just kind of having a rough day today. So I made this answer key, and I tried to plan this all out, right? This is just one of those days where I think I'm just taking a big old L on today, because I tried to plan this all out, even so much so that I was very much going to win the battle with the copier today, right? I was going to win the battle. I was going to get the graph lines. They were going to get scanned. So I did. Through 4 different scans. Literally had to try this 4 different times. So this is the copier emailing me my scans. Right? Finally got it. Only to find out I have a bunch of typos on here. Like a bunch of mess ups or things that I forgot about. Nice. So we're going to manually check this all together. I'm just going to put it under the dot cam. A lot of my answer key in Schoology is right, but not all of it. So if you were like Caden or Maya, or who else is missing today? Caden, Maya, maybe that's it. Yeah, if you're like one of those guys, I probably would watch the video instead of just using the PDF in Schoology.
They can't hear you if they're not watching the video.
Well, but if they are watching the video, they can hear me.
Which they're supposed to be doing.
But they're already watching the
hey, you should be trying to get your Chromebook out, though, so that you will then have it for Desmos after this. Somebody already has mine, right? For this class? There you go. Just wait for now. We'll get you one in a minute, or you could do it with somebody else. All right, so here we go. Question 1. If you go graph it, Nathaniel, I need you to have your test out, man. I don't know what else you're doing. But if you go to graph it, it'll look something like this. The squares will overlap just a tiny bit. And your new top right point ends up at 113. The transformation explanation would have been x minus 7, y plus 5, or x plus negative 7 you could have also done.
Oh, I didn't write the plus.
Wait, were we supposed to graph this?
You didn't have to. So you got it? Okay. So then, in number 2, guys, I get all detailed when I know I'm going to share the answer key with you. I color code everything. Just the best laid plans of mice and men.
I have a question.
Anyone? No? It's a quote from a very famous book, but the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. And awry means not how you planned it. John?
Why is the scale factor written as 2 to 1?
So that's the more detailed way to write it, because scale factor is comparing new to the original. Now we could just say it's 2, because 2 to 1.
I read it as 1 to 2 because I was doing something new.
Wait, so if I just put a 2, is that correct or is that wrong?
So I can't answer 5 questions at once, but I think I will answer all of them with one answer. You can be slightly forgiving like you know I am. If you did 1 to 2 instead of 2 to 1, you were just looking at it differently than I did, that's fine. If you're upside down of this, that's fine. If you didn't reduce these fractions, that's fine. It's better to reduce it. And I hope that you know that with a scale factor of 2, we end up with an area scale of 2 squared, which here is 4, right? But it really comes out to be 2 squared. So, you can be slightly forgiving to yourself.
Yeah.
Does your test show that you know what you're doing, right? That's what we care about. You guys, quite honestly, here in a couple months, you're not my students anymore. So, who cares? Who is it that should care whether you know this stuff or not? You. Honestly, in a couple months, you're not mine anymore.
No.
Now you're always a Phoenix student, but in a couple months, you're not mine anymore.
I'm always
Okay, it kind of sounds wrong when you're saying that word.
Number 3.
Okay.
Actually, I will always help you with math. For real, if you guys get stuck in future math classes, even when you're not at Phoenix, feel free to email me or text me or whatever. Now, if you need a lot of help, we should probably set up some private tutoring. But, like, I'll always help you in math. You could leave slope as fraction form, but that's real unnecessary here. If you said plus 9, plus 8, something else, because you thought the 10 was above the y-intercept, that's fine. But technically that 10 was there to show us the y-intercept, slope triangle, and again, we are still in this chapter solidifying that we understand slope and y-intercept. Moving on to 4. I'm going to kind of pull this in so you can see the purple shape is the newer one. Sorry, I just turned my light on. So, like, the light purple, sorry, I guess I realized. So, the, like, pinkish red, that's the dilated shape. The pinkish red is the dilated shape. Then, the kind of lavender color, that's after we rotate 180 degrees. And we know 180 degrees just spins it. So, what was bottom right is now top left. And vice versa. Any questions on that one? Max is buying 5 cookies every trip. So in total, he could take 9 trips. Now, guys, if you said like 7 more trips, like that's okay. But really, we were asking how many trips in total he could take. 9 trips. But if you said like after this dot, he can take 7 more, like yeah, that is true. After that dot, he can take 7 more. This one did not show up as well on your paper, but because of that, I gave you all the points that you needed, that you could then just use those coordinates to do what you need to do. In the end, we end up top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, right? I have these in the same places. Top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. Any questions? You might need to check graph paper if you did this somewhere differently, so I'm going to leave this up for a minute. By the way, happy Pi Day. We will be celebrating on Friday if you read the start screen, but I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about this shirt because I heard a couple people speculating, wait, which was up on the screen. Square root of negative 1 is also known as the imaginary number, which I hate. That's a bad name. For real, it's a bad name. Because it makes me feel like my imaginary friend Bob over here that, like, doesn't exist.
Hi, Bob.
I'm sorry, Bob. But, like, so Bob doesn't exist. Square root of negative 1
How
does.
dare you mean to Bob?
He doesn't have feelings. He doesn't exist. So,
Hey.
square root of negative 1 does have feelings. Square root of negative 1 does
It's not real.
exist. He's just not real, but he's not imaginary. He's non-real. We have this different set of numbers in math that operate under a different system.
No.
Because most of our math, we operate in the standard Cartesian plane, Euclidean geometry. We've got these things we all agree upon. And then there's these other branches where it's like only if you're feeling feisty, right? So square root of negative 1, if you try to like do it in a calculator, like it'll break math under the standard system.
Like 0 divided by 0.
But square root,
Oh, no.
hey, square root of negative 1 is considered non-real, which is why he's being told to get real, and pi is being told to be rational, because pi is an irrational number, which we'll circle back to in a minute when I don't need to be filming what we're doing. Thanks. When I don't need to be recording, we'll circle back to that, and I'll show you guys a couple videos as you switch over into doing Desmos.
You weren't kidding.
What? Yeah, no, square root of negative 1 breaks math under the standard system.
0.
All right, 7. Well, okay.
It says X on it.
Okay,
It doesn't even
0
say
divided by
zero.
0
It says
breaks
X
math in
on
a
it
couple
identified.
ways. Because you can't divide by 0. But there's also this rule that any number divided by itself is 1.
Yeah. Wait, what?
I don't like that.
Wait.
So 0 divided by 0 breaks math in a couple ways.
Yeah.
Hey, but right now we're not talking about that stuff. We're talking about these. Any questions with our scaled similar shapes here?
2.
Yeah, D was a scale factor of 2.5. 2.5.
It's on the fine.
Well, it's because you got to flip the plane. It's so. Hey, to give you an example, so Alex has his Desmos pulled up. Square root of -1 would not be on his screen. It would be like out here. That's why it breaks the math, because this graph can't show him where square root of -1 is, because it would literally be off of the screen. Either behind the screen or in front of the screen. There's a like third dimension of this graph.
There's
Yeah.
dimensions of graphs.
Yeah. So
My sister was talking about this.
Olivia, we can make graphs more complicated.
No.
Hey,
I made circles.
John has an actual question about the mastery.
So I got like C wrong. Do I wait for revisions or?
I mean, you can fix it if you like. Can you find your mistake right now? And was it something silly?
A big jerk. I thought
Yeah.
C was ×3.
So, one, we're not going to say that because that feels like mildly offensive. And two, like, yeah, silly mistakes is what we can call them. But, all right, moving on. H didn't matter where you drew it. Or, sorry, 8, H, whatever you want to call it. So, you could have drawn it so the H's overlap. Yeah, Hudson made this shape. Who would have thought Hudson made an H? So, if you scale it up.
That's the first letter in his name.
Well, I mean, the first letter of my name's really M, but...
Last.
So, hey, check these. Area becomes 28. It's okay if you don't have labels, but you should. Scale factor's 2 to 1, but area, remember, is 2 squared. So really, that's 4. Really, what happens to the area? It scales up by 4. Hey, so Anna said wait, and then 10 people talked at the same time. Anna? Not really. I mean, because here specifically we told you use 2 to 1. I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't do it right. You know what I mean? So, like, it should be 2 to 1. It should be 4 to 1. Like, technically, we should try to do this in the right order. John?
Go back to 7D.
7D. There weren't that many problems on this test. Oh, 7D.
Very funny.
By the way, because I just had to go backwards. I keep trying to filter in these other announcements. If you would like to try to compete in a pi memorization contest,
Nope, never again.
these are 225 digits of pi, 25 on each row. This is my favorite printout because it puts the same amount of digits on each row. Because then on Friday at lunch, in the cafe, using the microphone. Now, if you don't want to use the mic, you don't have to. But we will let people compete for who can recite the most digits of pi from memorization. So, like, you know, we're not going to have anyone in the crowd trying to cheat for you or anything. But then I will, like, mark off where you stop, and we will have some prizes to give away. See what I did
It should
there?
be a pie.
So we'll have some pies. Now, if you want to know the all-time Phoenix record is 162 digits of pi, which would be 25, 50, 75, 100. It's in this line. In this line. So you'd have to memorize all of it. Now, you don't have to get the all-time Phoenix record, but just if you want to know what the all-time record was,
You know what the
162.
record for last year was?
Well, I think Daresh said it was like 120. Well, I think he actually did 123. I don't think it was exactly 120. But yeah, Daresh. Now, Daresh doesn't think he's going to compete this year because he was like, crap, I didn't know I had to do it again. I was like, well, did you memorize them? Yeah, so I don't think Daresh will compete again. So I think it's mainly going to be 7th graders. All right, moving on. I can always circle back to any questions we need. Yup, big old goof right here because math is hard. You can see my goof. It came from right here. Math is hard.
Yeah. This is the one that I got your help on, so I know I got this one.
Well, it depends on what day because I did it wrong this morning.
Well, I mean, I got it right. I think. I did decimals instead of fractions. Oh, good lord.
And then, how many minutes till we got the same number of worms? 9.
It was also on the closure.
And, wait. I just realized you forgot to answer one of the questions. You didn't answer how many worms will each of them have that time.
Thank you. That was the only mistake the last class didn't catch. How would I then figure out how many worms?
Oh my gosh.
I just plugged in.
Substitution, right? So plug it in,
And I got
but the math word is substitution. So 2 times 9 plus 5, 23 worms.
I have my numbers literally backwards. Sorry.
I
I wrote them backwards.
Sure, John. See me later. And then 11. Hey guys, we're doing a thing up here. So I done goof.
Again?
Yeah, it's a bad day, Olivia. I've had a rough day today.
I didn't catch you. Sorry, I had a rough day.
Thank you, guys. My day started just completely derailed with something that needed to take my priority but was not planned. Right? It was a student issue that I needed help take care of. But so then when I was trying to focus on this, I didn't have much focus. So thank you for your patience with all my typos. This is what I had, but the problem asks you to put it in quadrant 4. Quadrant 4 is technically this quadrant, which if you forget, you can always reference that poster back there. Liam, if you would like to be my Vanna White and point to the graph one on the wall, right there. So quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4, Vanna White was a person on the Wheel of Fortune show. I forget if they are still doing, I think she got replaced now. But if instead we rotate 180, now a lot of you probably just did a translation. Because translations are easier. So if you want to just grab A and translate it to the right and down, you can get to quadrant 4 that way.
I think that's what it said on the
So it doesn't tell you specifically what to do. It says, start with triangle A and tell me how we could get there. So I don't tell you specifically what to do. You're allowed to do whatever you want. I like rotations because, guys, look up here real quick. Any of these points for A, any of those points for A are to the left and up. Right? If we think about hockey stick and we rotate the hockey stick around,
That's what I did.
so now instead of going left and up, we go right and down. Guys, check out what happens to the numbers. -3, +7 becomes +3, -7.
Yeah, I used the hot
-2, +9 becomes +2, -9. -5, +10 becomes +5, -10. You just trade who's positive and who's negative. Like, if you were negative, you become positive. If you were positive, you become negative. That's what happens on a 180 rotation. Missy.
Yeah,
On
I
D,
got it
like
in the
this
top.
D?
Yeah. I got it in the top.
Starting with triangle A, rotate triangle A 90 degrees clockwise. Label that triangle D. So if we try to, now this might be a mistake. Like, I'm not telling you I didn't make any mistakes. But if we hockey stick out to A, I've got my hockey stick that is like 3, 7. Right? Then if I rotate clockwise goes this way. I think that's going to go 7, 3.
Oh, okay.
Right? Where I did go 3, 7. I think now I'm going to go 7, or yeah, like 3, 7 still, but 3 up, 7 over. Yeah, I think my D's correct.
Yeah, it is.
Mine is the same as yours.
I just rotated straight on the point. I didn't go into the second quadrant.
Were you supposed to what?
Were we supposed to write all the points? Like,
I mean, if you did the whole problem, it was all right here. Yeah.
Wait, we're supposed to write the
No, oh, no. Do you have to, like, write the numbers? No, I did that because I didn't trust that the copier would actually do this.
okay.
I was, like, Guys, the first time, this is what your answer key would have looked like if I hadn't put the effort into it. Yeah, how easy is that to see?
Ew.
Yeah, so that's why.
Disgusting.
So, guys, like, again, this is just like life lesson. Everything I put a lot of time and effort into failed. Like, it all just went off the rails and just, like, fell apart. Last class period was extremely embarrassing. We literally, like, because I put it in Schoology. And I was like, hey, use Schoology, check it. And just slowly, it was like, well, this is wrong, that's wrong, you forgot this, you didn't do that. Like, really embarrassing class last period. But guess what? You can't change it. You can only move forward. So you move forward and you try to do better. So move forward, try to do better. That's the moment you're experiencing right now. Is really quickly, I said, all right, I got to fix this, I got to fix that. I forgot to do this. Like, I don't know about that, but all I know is I'm exhausted now. So, any other questions? Anything remaining?
Mr. Hudson,
Yeah.
I didn't catch 9.
9. We'll go back there. And by the way, for those of you who have not gotten to, just a reference, and then I'll show Finn this video in a few years. That's Finn. So my nephew who I always talk about. So this is my brother Brad, sister-in-law Sarah, obviously me, my wife Chelsea. We're over at Hoover Dam in Westerville because there's a disc golf course over there. So we went and played disc golf and then walked on the dam. He always has to have a Hot Wheel or something like that because he's awesome. But that's Finn. So that's who this problem's about.
Wait,
Who what?
It's a dad selfie, but like half like one of the ears isn't on the picture.
Oh,
And they're kind of like facing the bit.
are you making fun of me or what right
No,
now?
it's a real thing. I told my dad.
'Cause that's what
always
this-
does in our
I'm
selfies.
missing an ear. Chelsea's missing an ear. Like, is that what I did as a dad selfie?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, okay.
It's great.
Do they by chance have a dog named Jake?
No, they don't have any animals right now. Well, they have a turtle
Turtles.
named Frankie.
Frank has multiple portals.
Well, that's because we thought Frank was a
I have
boy.
snake.
And then all of a sudden there were eggs. So we
Oh,
found out
good
Frankie is
dog.
not a boy. So we went from Frank to Frankie.
Wait, why can't boys just decide to lay eggs?
Because boy turtles can't lay eggs. Sorry, that's just science.
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry, but that's just one of those just science things.
I like it.
Alright, people playing along at home, I gotta pause the video because we are about to watch a pie video while people transition over into Desmos. Eli?
This is one line.